Welcome, friends. LostScarf here, and it's time for us to have basically a podcast with the Bradiator. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, it's fun.
All right. And this is a dude who's been doing cosplay for quite a few years. Met him through Smite. He's done some amazing cosplays. And seen the majority of them whenever he's at, was it? They're calling HRX now, right?
Yeah.
Like High Res Expo? Is that what they're calling it?
High Res Expo.
And the ones I remember are, of course, you can see some of them in the background. You can see, it's Mercury. You did a Loki. I remember Loki.
Yeah.
Space Marine Anhur, and you did it. Was his name Susano? I can't remember the sword.
Yeah, I did.
But
Steel Samurai Susano.
There you go.
And then Janus. And then
Janus. You did. Oh, that one was amazing. And that's not that helmet. Is it that helmet? It can't be.
This is Mercury's tier 2 skin.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like, wait, that doesn't have like the lights on it. Because I'm pretty sure the Janus had lights on it, didn't it?
Yeah,
like a lot of lights, which was amazing. And so you really know a lot of cosplay. So the question is, what got you into cosplay?
I don't know if you remember back when High Res did their, like, when Smite was smaller back in closed beta, they had community streamers on, like Mesmerize was on there. Doom Princess was on, and she streamed at night. I don't know if you remember Doom Princess, but she was a cosplayer. She's like, yeah, I'm making a costume. I started watching her streams, and she would like make her costumes during her streams. I was like, you know what? I want to do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. So then I went through all the gods to find out which one would be the easiest and best for me. And I found Mercury because he had the least amount of, like, to me personally, it looked like he would be the best choice for me, like the body type and the amount of work I'd need to put into it, like for my experience level. So I did that, and I went to the High Res launch tournament, or the Smite launch tournament, with a whole bunch of friends. My first ever cosplay, and then Doom Princess, she was one of the judges there.
Oh.
They had her be one of the judges. And then there was a whole bunch of other people during the cosplay, and then I ended up winning the contest with my first Mercury, this one.
There it is. Nice. I know I watched it. Like, I watched... The only expo I didn't see was this year's. It was just other things, but I know I saw that one, and the other ones, and... just out of trying to remember, which year was the Scylla? Because that was amazing, that one.
That was the year that was when I did Janus, I believe.
Okay.
That was 15.
Okay. And yeah, the Janus is amazing because there's so many lights going on there. And then you've got the little girl as Scylla, which was like, holy crap. That had to be some work there. I'm wondering about something is, when it comes to cosplay stuff, and just your first cosplay costume you said was Mercury. Now, what were just the first mistakes you make when you're trying to make a cosplay, I suppose? Or maybe just common mistakes that probably happen when doing a cosplay?
I think procrastination. Because, I was, like, the biggest mistakes I always make is thinking I have plenty of time. So then I just keep working, and then I end up in the hotel room the night before. Like, I was still working on Mercury at the hotel in the launch tournament.
Oh, wow.
And the other biggest mistake, the first one I found out was finding the right adhesives, like how to get parts to stick to each other, like using the correct kind of glues or just sewing things together, because a lot of my costumes just fall apart. Mercury was falling apart. My Janus fell apart really bad.
Oh, dang.
Like, I was walking, like, after an hour, just the whole shoulder fell off. My Mercury, like, the knees were falling off. I had my friends walking with me with a roll of duct tape on their arm. They just sticking tape on my knee.
Nice. I didn't think about it, because I just consider just super glue everything, or crazy glue everything. But there's, like, a lot of different kinds of glues you can use.
Yep. Because some of them, like, super glue, some of them will melt plastics. Like it
Oh.
won't like they won't stick to each other. It'll just react with the plastic and it'll just melt it. And there's
Oh.
yeah, hot glue is kind of the best your best bet. But there's I found out you want a good hot glue gun because I just bought like a $3 really cheap hot glue gun. I was like, this will work, but it didn't get the glue hot enough to actually bond things together. So they'd just peel apart. They wouldn't stick.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. Then another way of getting things to stick would be, I guess, you sew them kind of together. And I'm gonna guess you learned a lot of sewing over the years with the cosplays and everything.
A little bit. Most of my sewing was just hot glue.
Oh, okay, so just getting things together with glue. Now, there's a lot of work into just like you made the helmet. Like, what's the work that goes into making like the helmets?
For the Mercury in my anus, I use the tinfoil and duct tape technique, where you like basically wrap an object with like tinfoil, and then you wrap it with duct tape, and the duct tape will stick to the tinfoil and it will keep its form. So then what
Oh,
you do is you cut it apart into pieces. It's like taking like an orange peel and you cut it out and you lay it flat. Or I use that reference because I did that. We had to do that for a math class once. But
huh.
you take that apart and then you lay it flat and then you cut it out or whatever, and you use it to get the shape you want. Like this might be easier, but in the middle, like it was a
Wow.
like a tinfoil dome, and then I cut them out into triangles, like so they lay flat, and then I cut them out into I traced them onto craft foam, and then I covered them in a material called Warbla, just the thermoplastic. And that's
Wow.
how I stuck this one together. And I did this
Nice.
for the Mercury and the Yanis, but then the other Mercury helmet was different. That's gonna fall off. It broke.
Oh,
So
dang.
this is craft foam, different material. It's just instead of having so this is like softer material. So like I
Wow.
can bend it and it will keep its shape and it won't. It's not gonna be as heavy. But this one is a harder material. So this one you have to like heat
Huh.
up with a heat gun till it gets like it gets malleable, and then you form it over the foam, and then once it cools off, you get this hard, nice hard shell.
Nice.
Yeah, to cut out the shape, find out the shapes, do a little bit of freehand like drawing, like figure out where these things go, the shape of this, and then trace those. Glue this one. You just when you put the thermoplastic on it, it'll stick to itself, so you don't need an adhesive for it. So I just
Ooh.
wrapped the foam in it and then just stuck it to itself while it was hot. But this one, for the craft foam, I use contact cement, which is you put it on one side. Sorry, put it on one piece. Put it on. You put it on two surfaces, and then when it dries, you leave it there for like a minute, and they'll dry. They'll be a little bit tacky, and you smack them together, and they won't come apart. They'll like fuse it together.
Wow.
It's used for like it's the same kind of stuff they use for like countertops, like to put the top down onto the wood or what have you, or like sticking the soles of shoes to the shoes. Like so, the bond is going to be almost inseparable, and that's what I used for sticking the. Like there's a seam here. I don't know if you can really see it. There's a seam right
Oh, okay,
there.
there's, yeah.
I didn't do a very. I was in a rush to make this, so I didn't like hide the seam too well. But yeah, there's quite a bit of work. This one cost me quite a bit of money too, because the thermoplastic is not too cheap.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, there's a lot of planning that goes into making the helmets.
Nice. And then I assume the same thing with like weapons and like the armor, like especially the Anhur, like uh, was it just Space Marine Anhur? Just it's basically kind of like the StarCraft Marine suit, and then you got like well honors in there. How hot was that thing to wear?
It wasn't hot.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people thought it would be like really hot in there, and I thought it was really heavy, but it wasn't really hot or heavy. The only thing it was kind of like a little uncomfortable because I couldn't like move my arms.
Huh.
They were kind of like I could move them this far, and that was it.
Wow. Huh. Oh, how about okay? You had it on her like thing over your face to wear the thing too. Like, do you just see through the eye holes, or
Yeah,
how does that work out?
I don't have it with me because it's the costume's actually at high res.
Huh.
Yeah, I gave it to him. So, but there was like on his eyes, I had his eyes be like this orange plastic, but then right here, like that, I don't know what it's called, but like in the corner of your eye, I had those open on him. So I looked through two little tiny like dots. They were probably the size of like half a
Ooh.
centimeter that I looked through. You could look through it easier than you think,
Okay.
because I was like right against it. Uh, I didn't have like super wide vision, but I could see more than people thought I could.
That's good. Wait, did you bump into anyone though, just with that limited vision?
I'm sure I did. I was about 4 feet across, wide. I couldn't see my
Dang.
shoulders, so I'm sure I accidentally like bumped a couple people.
Great question. What would be like a dream cosplay? Like if you had the time and like all everything you need necessary to make it. What's like a dream cosplay for a cosplayer?
Yeah, I don't really have like a dream one. But
That's a really open question I just asked. Anyway,
yeah,
uh, because I don't. I've seen some pretty crazy things, like a dude in like a giant mech. Like he's ripped, so he can move the whole thing around. But it's like just the thing just takes up so much space, and he couldn't get into the convention hall. There was no way. He was too big for the thing.
yeah,
But there's just been some pretty cool cosplays, like something big like that, or saw a dude basically make a transformer, and he had like a little wheel in it so he could wheel himself around. It was pretty cool. There's some pretty interesting and innovative stuff that I like about cosplay because people innovate in interesting ways. They also create in interesting ways as well. Yeah, it's just always impressive.
yeah. There's a lot of cosplayers have their own, like a lot of the bigger ones. They have their own like style, like and the way they do things. And then what's good about that is like other people will follow their style, and then they follow the other people's styles, and then that's how you get like they'll like combine them or find out different techniques. So just, the way the styles and stuff just continue to keep growing and growing, and you get a whole
Cool.
bunch of interesting like ways people make the costumes. Like you could have one person make it their entire thing out of craft foam and make their entire thing out of the Warbler stuff here, and they'll like look the same. Like they could look identical, but they're two completely different materials.
Nice. Well, a different question then would be, what is the for those who don't really know it, what's the cosplay community like?
I'd say very friendly. Like a lot of people are very supportive. Like there are a lot of cosplay communities. There's very specific ones too. There's one specifically for like Star Wars and like Halo. Like there's huge forums for people who are like, yeah, I want to make a like a Halo suit. Like you just go to the forum and you'll have hundreds of people telling you exactly like things you should know or how to help you. Like some people, I'm sure, will help you like step by step through your entire process to
Nice.
make the things.
Well, a question for those who are interested in cosplay would be: what are some resources that they can go to learn just for cosplay? Just is there like a place that they could just go to?
YouTube, like
Of course you do.
uh, there's the people there are very many like the cosplay community is very huge, and if you go to YouTube, like if you need to know like how to make something like there or like how to get started cutting or like what materials to use for cosplay, you search on Google or YouTube, and you'll find up a thing. Like, I mean, it's kind of like a generic answer. Just go to YouTube. Just go to Google. But
It's true though.
yeah, the people that I recommend for to go to look for like because they do a lot of tutorials is Punish Props, uh, run by Bill and Brittany Duran. They've been doing cosplay for several years, and they've made I don't know how many videos. They make a video like every week, every couple days, like of a
Huh?
different technique on how to use. And they have several books that you can buy for like $5 a book with a whole bunch of techniques. They go into full detail about other stuff. Uh, there's Kamui Cosplay.
All right then.
Uh,
I follow them.
yeah, there's Kamui Cosplay. She does a bunch of videos too. Punish Props. Evil Ted Smith. He does a lot of craft foam. I think he does. Yeah, he does craft foam stuff. Punish Props. They do craft foam. They go into other materials. Kamui goes into Warbla a lot, and she's doing sewing now. She's doing a lot of sewing tutorials, which I've been watching up, trying to figure out how to sew myself. But yeah, if you just go to Google, YouTube, and you can find like several thousands, hundred thousands of like if you can't find like what you need, then that's where that's what at the point where you figure things out for yourself. Like you create the new techniques because the techniques start somewhere. So if you create the new technique, then that's a way for you to get your name out there for people to. If you're wanting to get your name out into the cosplay community, find some new techniques. That's a different topic.
Yeah, because of course, people are always trying to. This is something I really like about cosplayers. They're so creative, and they come up with different ideas on how to make different things. Like, Saxapeach, like she came up with, like, for like the Pit Boy or no Nuka Cola. It was like you just get like this little light thing, and you put it in basically like kind of like a bulb, like this little encased thing, and screw it onto the top of a cup of a bottle of cola. And so it just gives it that glow. I'm like, that's really cool. Just little creative things like that. I like that. And just different ways people can make the Pit Boy. There's like some different ways people have made those. Like one is you just make a cardboard cutout and then you have like a screen put like that, or they just actually crafted one. There's just different ways to go about it, and just always fascinating to see how people make things. That's what I like about the cosplay community. They're very creative.
I just remember probably the biggest and best place to get help with cosplayers, like to go for resources, would be the Replica Prop Forum. They're probably the most well-known, biggest place to get help with anything, from just a simple sewing to making movie quality replicas of props and stuff. And then they'll even post like when people go make like new videos, they'll be like, "Here's a video I made on how to do this." I'm sure I don't really frequent the site myself. I haven't been that involved in the community lately. But the Replica Prop Forum is definitely, if you're not a fan of scouring Google or YouTube, just go to the Replica Prop Forum and they'll have a bunch. They'll have a whole bunch of. Because the few times I visited, I've found several things. I found files from I found the game files like for 3D mesh models and stuff from like Halo and stuff like that.
Cool. Because then you have something to basically a reference for what you're making. Nice. More of a question on etiquette and things like that. Camera etiquette. What are your views on like the way people should approach cosplays when they want to take a picture of them? Things like that.
Just ask. Make sure. I know the biggest just ask someone if it's okay to take a picture. Probably don't hound them too much. If a cosplayer is like rushing, like if you look like they're in like kind of a hurry, if they're like trying to get somewhere fast, probably don't stop them for a picture, because they've probably trying to get to a panel or something, or maybe they're late for something. So maybe if you really want a picture, you might follow them like not like everywhere, but I mean like see if they'll get to a spot where it'll be okay to take a picture with them. The biggest problem is people will get pictures like in the middle of hallways. Like the cosplayers get stopped for one picture, and then all of a sudden a group of people show up for pictures, and it just creates this mass in the middle of a hallway, and people can't get through. and then you had people like trying to duck under the pictures. So just try to find spots that it's easier to take a picture, like in a corner somewhere or away from big hallways. Because if one person takes a picture, a whole bunch of other people that might just show up to get pictures too while they're already posing.
That is one thing that kills me because I go to some cons, and when it's just in the dead center, the cosplayer, they're taking pictures of the cosplayers. Like, well, now there's going to be nothing happening for a little bit because just everyone's just right there. And yeah, it's I think it's on everybody to like try to move it to like a wall or something.
Yeah,
But it's just you see the tendency of people just like they just stop and then they're just right there, and then the spectacle of just a big crowd, like, what's this about? And then even more people show up, and it's like, well, now we've got a mess.
yeah. I because I'm very what is it? I always think about that, like being in the center, like creating problems for other people. Like I don't. I always think about not doing that. Like I don't want to do that. So if I get stopped for one picture and all of a sudden I see other people like showing up to take pictures, I'm not like I've told people I'm like I'm gonna go over into the corner. So I walk over there and then I let people take pictures of me there.
That's pretty good. Like, because I feel like I wish, because as a con goer, I wish more cosplayers did that for dang sure. I like that more because you definitely. I kind of feel like con places should just have like a cosplayer area where, like, specifically for pictures and things like that. What's thoughts on? Well, not only can the cosplayers be in a hurry, but just the con goers. Like, if they just run by and just take a picture and just keep going while you're just walking. Is that like a dig, or are you just like, well, they just didn't want to stop you? Because some people are shy as well.
Yeah, I personally I wouldn't like because of the way I wouldn't care if someone like if I'm walking and someone just like takes a picture of me. But I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't like that. Like a lot of cosplayers wouldn't like that. But if you ask them beforehand, if they want like a natural like walking pose, or like if someone like talks to you while you're walking, like you could probably just ask, hey, while we're walking, can I take a picture of you like while we're walking, something like that.
Mhm.
Or but if they're shy, they don't want to talk. I mean, I don't want to. Well, I didn't want to say like, "Oh, just go for it," because that'd be, that just make you rude and kind of a jerk.
Yeah, there's
But
quite a bit of etiquette with cosplay,
yeah,
and I don't think not a lot of people think about it. So I'm just curious, from a cosplay, your thoughts on that.
because the way I think, like, I personally I wouldn't like I don't really care because I understand like people like they wouldn't want to talk, so they just want to take a picture. But if you see someone who's obviously in a hurry, you shouldn't just like you shouldn't stop them because if they get stopped, like they'll get swarmed, like what happens
Mhm.
most of the time. But if you just like take like a drive-by photo, that's kind of a I've never really like heard a bunch of people like talk about that because some photo things like that like they'll get a bunch of attention and they'll post things about that like on Twitter and stuff. I haven't seen anything about like doing like a drive-by photo of any cosplayers, but I don't know. I know I personally don't care, but there you should definitely keep in consideration for, other cosplayers because it can definitely they may definitely find it rude. But then there are some places, like a lot of places, where if you by going to the event you already like consent to photos.
Hmm.
There's like you can't complain that people are taking. They can't really like complain because you go into a public place where there's like hundreds of people taking photos. You know, uh, I don't know. It's kind of a tough subject about like specifically that kind of thing happening.
Okay. A different question would be, what's the process for it? Because when you did Space Marine Honor, you did make the spear too, if I remember correctly, right?
No, I did not have the
You
time to
didn't?
make it.
Oh
No.
shoot! So that's bad on me. I did not remember if you made it or not. Because I was wondering about how weapons work out and like security when it comes to weapons. Like, have you ever made? No, did you make the Loki blades?
I
I don't
did.
remember.
I
So did
did.
you have to deal with security for that?
No, I was
Hmm.
supposed to. You're supposed like at most of those
Oh.
events, like well, if they have like proper like uh cosplay things, what they'll have you do is go to this area and they'll put a twist tie, like a bright colored twist tie on like the handle or something, or they'll put it somewhere on it so you can show, like they'll inspect it, make sure it's not metal or it's not a real weapon, and they'll put a twist tie on there to give you okay. So if you get stopped by someone else, you're like, it's got a twist tie. And they're like, okay, you're clear. Yeah, the my blades didn't. I completely forgot, so I didn't. And then I was walking by, and then I believe I was at Dragon Con for that, and I saw a guard who was. They had a few people he was just sitting around with the twist ties, and I think I was just gonna ask him like a question about something else. So I go up to him. He's like, "Oh, do you need to twist tie your weapons?" He's like, "Oh no, they're good." You know, because of the way I could handle them, he could tell they were super lightweight, and they were harmless. So he didn't tie them. Yeah, they were made out of a insulation foam. So they probably barely weighed like, I don't know, by like not even a quarter of a pound. Not even probably
Wow,
not
that's
probably
light.
like each one was probably, I don't know my measurements anymore, my weight measurements, but
Hmm.
they were very lightweight, probably an eighth of a pound. Like
Dang.
super, like you could bounce them on your finger like a peacock feather. But yeah, for going to those, they put twist ties on them, and if you want the best, you should when you have to go and get the twist ties, it's recommended that you for like if you care enough like as a cosplayer for photos, ask them to put them on the like the handle like of a gun or the of a sword, so you can put your hand on it, so it's not going to be visible for photos, but it's still there, so you can still show people like this isn't a dangerous weapon.
I don't know about what cons have you been to? I'm curious, really quick.
The Smite Launch Tournament. I keep the Smite Launch Tournament. The every single other Smite, like the World Championships. I've been to all of those. I've been to PAX West and the first, or it's PAX West now, but PAX Prime back when it was PAX Prime. That was 2014. PAX South in 2015. No, either 15 or 16. I want to say 15. And then Dragon Con 2015, and that's it. I haven't been to very many at all.
Because I'm curious about, because I go to Comic Con, and I'm curious if they have this there. Probably not for the PAXs, but because Comic Con's everything con, and it's a funny thing because they have weapons checked at the door, but you can buy swords and daggers and things in the con, which I always find really silly. I just wanted to mention that if you like, what the hell on that?
Yeah,
it's just a funny thing.
Yeah, they'll have vendors like those at Dragon Con.
I figured maybe Dragon Con. It's kind of weird, isn't it? You can't bring weapons, but they have weapons you can buy and you can come out with them. That's so weird to me.
Those are I don't haven't they didn't I know at Dragon Con they didn't have like metal weapons. I don't know if you're talking about like metal weapons, but I know they have like foam. They're made with a soft foam. They're specifically for LARPing and stuff. They were like completely harmless, but metal ones, I imagine there's something with like a license, and then probably like I don't know. I haven't seen any metal ones sold, but I'm sure it's there's probably something with like a license, and then you just if someone I think they wrap it up. You're supposed to like you have to have it wrapped up in like a cloth or something because it's a weapon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering about because I've never bought them, but I've seen them, and pretty sure they are metal. They have a lot of stuff at Comic Con. It's kind of ridiculous what they bring in there.
If they are, yeah, I think I think I've also heard about them like selling them at like the Renaissance fairs and stuff, like metal weapons. I think they have to wrap them in like a cloth or a fabric, like the entire blade, and probably the rest of it too.
Because any night fights I've seen, they're always their weapons are kind of covered in things, and they're just banging the crap out of those armors. But they're not your leaves and swords. They're using more like maces and stuff. Whenever I've seen when they have knights fight, which is also really cool to see. A different question when it comes to the cosplay community, I guess, is your viewpoint and also what you've seen of body types that don't match what they're cosplaying as. what are your thoughts on that, or just the community's thoughts? Is there any big thought on that? Because like some people feel like if you don't look like it, you shouldn't dress as it, or should you be allowed to since you're a fan of it? Things like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people that say you shouldn't be like the body types have to match the body, like they have to match, is people that aren't in the cosplay community.
Hmm.
Like I think the biggest consensus is just dress up as you want. Dress up what you want to dress up as. Like don't care, don't worry about it. Like if you want to dress up as like some your complete opposite body type, go for it. I it's just cosplay is just to have fun.
Hmm.
I personally like I just dress up as like as I try to find close body types to me because that's what I I personally wanted to look as close as possible. Except then I did do Anhur, which is not even a body type. So there's like things like that. Like you can like get bodysuits to make yourself like look bigger, like change your own body type. But like I know people have a lot of like the people who aren't in the communities have a lot of I don't know, it's like hatred towards people who are like they're bigger and then they dress up as a like in the same fashion as someone as the character who's smaller and then they make fun of them for it. Like there've been people who made fun of people in the Smite community for not being the same body type, and I really don't like it.
Hmm. Okay. Because like okay, so the cosplayer community is a very welcoming community. They're very open. They're okay with that. Because yeah, it's so weird when I see people they like you see like a black diva and they're like you can't be a diva. It's like why not? I don't understand the problem here. Like it should be fine. That people should be allowed to be what they want because that's what they're a fan of.
Yeah, the colors is I believe that's also a huge problem. Uh, like with people who like oh you're not the right skin color, and like I feel like that might be a bigger problem than the body types
Hmm.
because that's bringing you know more of a whatever issue. I'm not sure the correct word, but
Okay.
yeah, because I know I have a friend who she wants to do the cosplays of this one character, but she's afraid to because of the backlash because they're different. The character is a different color.
Hmm.
Big, like I think less of it. Like the cosplay community, like for the people in the community are really welcoming. They want they encourage people just cosplay as you want. If it's a different color, just do it anyway. But a lot of it comes from outside of the community, just the fans of those characters. Like they get
Okay.
upset about like you're ruining my character by doing this. It's like no, you're ruining everyone else's fun by being mad at something that you have nothing to do with.
So as always, the fans ruin everything. That's what it always comes down to. I swear. The fans always ruin the fun for everyone else because it's like it has to be this, and there's no fluidity, which is very annoying. Like yeah, personally for me, I feel like I'd want to match body types with my cosplay though,
Yeah,
like just for myself. But anyone can dress up what they want to dress up like. They can do that. But I'm like if I want to be like a buff character, I'd want to work out for it, or like I can't slim down for a slim character because just my body type. I'm a husky guy. But like if I did Mercury, I'd be like, okay, I'm cosplaying as a bigger Mercury, basically.
yeah,
I can't say just regular Mercury, but I'm of the mindset like I'd want to train for that. But there's certain things where you can't. Like your height is your height. You can't be a shorter character or a taller character depending on your height. Like I can't be like if I wanted to be okay, I'm Scylla, like I'm little girl Scylla. I can't do that. I'm not that at all.
yeah,
But if someone really wanted to dress up as Scylla, all the power to them.
yeah. Just let them because like I think a lot of it's just like the reason you don't get a lot of like different is because just like the fear from people who are outside of the community just giving them like hey like if a really tall person cosplayed as like someone who's supposed to be short they'd be like you can't do that you're supposed to be short you're not you true tall to do that like people just need to like outside the communities need to understand that it's okay to let people just dress up like there was I think there were no I was thinking of something regarding like Halloween and like a costume. like people like I think there was like a Halloween like costume that the on the picture on the thing it was like a Superman costume, but the kid wearing it was a different color, and
Ah,
people like there was a huge uproar about it, but there should when there
it's
shouldn't have been.
yeah. There shouldn't be. It's people are weird. I feel like people should just be allowed to dress up what they want to dress up like. Like if you want to be, I don't whatever you want to be, you should be that. It should be allowed. It should be okay. You're having fun. You're sharing in a fandom. That's really what's more important. Is you like a thing. There's nothing wrong with liking a thing and wanting to dress up like that thing. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, random thing though, there is a black Superman. There's the alternate universe Superman where Obama's Superman.
What?
Like just straight up Obama is Superman. I'm like that's great.
That is
That's
wonderful.
funny. But like, yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, there's multiple universes. Like, oh, I'm just this version of a thing. Whatever. Like, be allowed to be whatever you want to be. There's just a lot of impressive costumes. Trying to find a good question, but I can't think of a good question. So a different one, just round out a little bit. For you, Bradiator, what games are you into? Just out of curiosity.
Games. Mostly RPGs or like RPGs and kind of strategical stuff or things with stats. I like things that like RPGs that have like a bunch of stats or like different kinds of like customizations where you can make your character yours.
Okay. So XCOM at all, or more like Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff like that?
I haven't played either of those,
Oh, my
but
bad on those questions.
I'm sure I would. I think I have XCOM 2,
Okay. Because,
but
like, XCOM lets you customize a lot, and so I was wondering that.
yeah, I played stuff like Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning or Dungeon
Ooh,
Defenders 2, or not 2, during the first Dungeon Defenders. I don't really like 2
okay.
that much.
Yeah, same.
It just doesn't have the same feel as 1. Like, I'd prefer it to have more, like, you can customize your towers to be yours. Like, just go dump
Yeah.
all your stats into damage or something, but you can't do
Yeah,
that. But
what I really liked about 1 compared to 2, yeah, 2 is so much more rigid. While 1 is you could be a super character, or your towers are amazing, or you're just good in both things to an extent, and each character had their own towers. Like, a lot. Like, they had a good variety of towers they could do. And also, you weren't relying on everyone taking up all your space, your whatever it's called, capacity. Everyone could have their own capacity, which is great. But in 2, I think you share capacity, unless they've changed it at this point.
no, in 1, I'm not sure the capacity, but like you have a certain amount of tower units, and so you can only place a certain amount of towers. That's how it is in
Yeah.
1. I'm playing the first one right now. Not right now, but recently. But yeah, you all share the same. You have like 90 units though,
Huh.
or
Remembering correctly, then.
I know the summoner class has his own set of units.
Yep. That's something I would do. I would abuse it. I'd go like, I'd change characters for a moment, summon a bunch of stuff, then switch back.
Yep.
Which, like, I'm just gonna abuse the system for a minute. It's a fun game. Dungeon Defender is a really good one. 2 just didn't like it as much. Especially, I don't know, they've done so much experimentation, but they finally released it last year, I think?
Yes.
And that's happening. And I don't know. I remember they were trying to make it a MOBA, which thankfully they didn't go through with that.
Oh.
MOBAs just die. They all die. The only ones that are
Yep.
around are Smite, the original League of Legends, and Dota, and then HOTS. Those are the ones who really stick around. Everything else is dead. Did you try the other MOBAs?
I played League of Legends for a little bit. Uh, I liked it. I had fun, but I stayed with Smite because it was League of Legends felt a little too like. I personally felt it was kind of easy.
Hmm.
Like I loved it. It was fun, but it didn't have a certain like. I'm not sure. Trying to think of like the word I want to use, but it took more like thinking for me to play. I didn't have to think very much to play League of Legends, or like
Okay. Wow.
use as much like uh yeah, I really don't know the word, but yeah, it just felt kind of like easy in a way.
Hmm. Did you try Dota at all, or just League?
I tried Dota once, and that was like when I first started playing like the MOBAs, like when I first started playing Smite, and I had no idea what was going on. The reason I played Dota was because I saw their first trailer for it, their cinematic trailer. I was like, yo, this game looks awesome. And then I played it. I was like, this isn't at all what I thought it would be.
Oh, another one more in the vein of Smite would be Paragon. Like that's been the only real try at third person MOBA besides Battleborn. I just remember Battleborn. Did you try Paragon?
I did not because I wanted to, but then my computer died, or it had a
Ooh.
bunch of like problems with it. Like it was the RAM. The RAM was dying, but I thought it was the motherboard, and like it just kept messing up. So it was dead. It's been dead for a couple of years. I just brought it
That's
back up.
unfortunate.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's too bad there.
Yep.
So like it's been Smite. Like Smite's well, I haven't played Smite in 2 years, but Smite was fine when I played it, and okay, it wasn't fine. I quit after all. But I don't know. Like so many people started with Smite, and it was a heck of a thing, and it's still a heck of a thing. A lot of people really love Smite,
Mm-hmm.
and just a lot of careers came out. Like I started with that, Mez, you, a lot of people they just started from Smite. Okay, actually, one more. What RPGs are you playing besides like Dungeon Defense and stuff? Just real quick,
Uh,
since I named off some you're not playing. So
I'm not sure. Well, I play,
Mhm.
Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. I love that game. Terraria, I'm not sure if you'd really call it an RPG, but that's just one of, like my favorite games.
It's a fun one.
Borderlands, I'm not sure if you'd call that an RPG, like Borderlands 2.
Borderlands is like Diablo RPG style, really, like first person Diablo. So it's an RPG, more of an action RPG, I think is the way to say.
I really liked Fable 3 because of the way
Yes.
they did their weapons. It was actually the first game I played on Xbox 360. It
Wow.
was like I didn't actually get into like this current generation of gaming until like 2011.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah, it's a long cycle there.
pretty recent because I only had a PlayStation 2. I didn't get into the newest generation of like Xbox 360 or whatever until then. And the first game I played was Fable 3, and I heard a bunch of like hate about it, but I actually loved it. Like yeah, they had some childish things that like probably like the farting and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I love the way they did the weapons where you kill enemies and then your weapon upgrades and gives it a certain uh it gives it different attributes based on like how many the enemies you've killed with it and stuff like that. That was my favorite
Yeah.
part of it.
I really enjoyed Fables 3. I don't know why people hated it. I have no clue. I think people hate to hate sometimes, and that's one of the games because it was really good. Of course, I never played 2, but 3 was really good. So I don't know if there was hype from 2, but 3 I really enjoyed 3. My favorite joke is with your mentor guy, and it's near the end. You end up on the island. He just screams balls at the cave. My favorite joke is like, I only have one thing to say, balls. I'm like, oh my god, it's my favorite joke. Yeah, that's a solid game. And Amalur I played, and I liked Amalur. There's a lot going on there. You could tell it definitely was supposed to be an MMORPG,
Yep.
and it's really fun. Too bad that company went down. And so yeah, now we know a little bit more about Aditore's games. Those are good games. Those are solid games. I like those. And let's round this out with advice for people who want to get into cosplay. Like we already touched a little bit on like sites and Googling stuff like that, but if they are interested, they want to get in here, and aside from advice of YouTube and those places you said, maybe like what skills might be worth knowing for you already said like sewing, but like any other skills they might need to really know if they want to get into cosplay, or they'll eventually want to learn if they want to do more advanced stuff.
It depends on what you like, what kind of costumes you want to do. Like there I know I follow someone who they just paint everything. Like they don't even like do different like angles and stuff. Like I'll have angles here. It's just a flat surface, but they paint it like how they do like in video games where they paint it in a certain way so it looks like it has a raised angle, but it's not
Oh,
actually at all. It's just complete flat surface. Like they excel in painting, so they use painting to their advantage. So like skills, it depends on what you're kind of like what you know, or like what's easiest for you. The easiest things for me is using craft film. The Warbler was a little harder for me. I haven't gotten into sewing yet. Like not really, not entirely. I haven't
hmm.
touched too much into it. But say if you try a few different things. Like, don't invest into everything. I kind of did that. I buy a lot of stuff. I'm just like, I'm gonna do everything, but then I suck at it, or I'm bad at it, and I'm just like, oh no. But skills, just see like what kind of things you want to do, like what you want to make, and then research into this kind of things you would need. But if you find out it's going to be a little too much of a challenge for you, back off earlier than further into your project. Because if you invest too much into it and then you realize you can't do it, then you're just going to end up like with a bunch of like materials that you won't be able to make use of or stuff like that.
Okay, another question before I head out. How reliable? Okay, how much of a godsend is duct tape?
Very much so. I recommend Gorilla Tape.
Ooh,
Gorilla Tape's actually better than duct tape. Well, unless you know, because a lot of the duct tape I've bought, like it sticks, but then it ends up like peeling off of the stuff eventually. Like if you need a really quick fix, then Gorilla Tape actually, like I found out from when I did my Anhur, we just used a little piece of, like it kept the entire shoulders of my Anhur. They were too heavy, so they just fell off. So we ended up using the Gorilla Tape to put it on there. Only a couple pieces, couple strips kept it on there. We tried regular duct tape, but it just fell off.
ooh. All right, good to know on that. Like a layman
Like,
question.
I was just gonna say it's a little pricier than regular duct tape, but I'd say it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely if it keeps it together. Yeah. How reliable or unreliable is cardboard?
It depends. It's reliable depending on how you use it. A lot of people. Well, I tried using it for my. I did a Kronos, and I used it for the wings. But they weren't the car. I didn't put anything to sturdy it with, so they just they broke because cardboard has the it's corrugated or whatever. It's got the ridges, so it bent at those I'm not sure what you call it, but like it bent so once it bent, it wouldn't stay straight anymore, and it would just stay like bent over. And it was sad.
So a partially broken clock at that point.
But yeah, cardboard it's definitely very lightweight, very sturdy. You'll want thicker cardboard or like putting cardboard together. Make sure you learn how like the properties of cardboard. So like you wouldn't want to put the lines going with each other. You would want to put them opposite way. That way they won't, because if they put it like this, if it bends, then it's going to give way that way. But if you put them like opposite, like it's not going to bend because you have the strengths. I'm not sure if that's making complete sense, but
yeah, they're not working together.
Yeah, like one will bend this way and one will bend this way. If you put it both the same way, they're just gonna bend over. But if you put them opposite, they're not gonna be able to bend because they'll push against each other.
Yeah, okay, that is really interesting right there alone. Okay, just cardboard properties, and that's cool. I'm liking this. Is learning quite a bit from this. That's awesome. Last one has got to be these. How much of an angels are these people? The people who walk the people who walk around with sewing kits and everything. They're like cosplay repair people at cons. Like, how much of an angel are those guys and gals?
First part, because this they are very much a godsend. They're wonderful people because some of those cons don't have like a repair station. Like Hires Expo had one year, and it was wonderful because you just go in. They had like duct tape and stuff. But then the next years they didn't do it, and like you're having cosplayers like pieces break off. So like when there's someone that has like sewing kits or like rolls of duct tape on their arm, and they can come by and patch you up real quick or lend you some materials, it's very nice. You can like it's so helpful, and you realize just how friendly like the community is because they're obviously in the community because they know the struggles of walking around and having a piece fall off, and you don't have any like needle and thread or tape to fix it on you.
Yeah, because if they weren't around, you lose your your shoulder pad or something, you're just like, I'm battle damaged Janice at this point now, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen them around the last couple of years at Comic Con. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I was wondering about just like, are they? I would assume they're at every con if they can be, and I'm sure people appreciate them. It's a pretty cool thing. And yeah, so cosplaying. It's what I'm hearing is welcoming community. That's really good. There's a lot of resources to learn from. So if anyone's interested in cosplay and you've just been shy about it, or just not really sure or intimidated, looks like or sounds like there's plenty of room to go in there and a lot of welcoming people. So that's really great to hear. So that right there has been basically a podcast with the Bradiator. Anything you want to plug, just since you've been a guest, anything you want to plug, like also your anywhere people can find you as well.
They can find me on Twitter at Bradiator. That's kind of, you might have to put somewhere to spell that because
we'll have the link in the description.
Yeah. So what do you mean by plug?
Is there any cons you're going to, or do you only have a Twitter? Do you also have like Instagram or anything else like that? Or
I do. I don't really use it, but I do. Then I also have a YouTube. I have a couple tutorials on there for how to do a couple things. I only have 2, but yeah. So yeah, I'm not currently planning to go to any cons. The only one maybe HRX next year. Maybe, I'm not sure yet. If I do, it's probably going to be my last one ever, unless they invite me. But that probably won't happen. Just for people, just don't listen to the naysayers. They're like people outside the community. They're like, you can't do that. You're not the right fit for that. Like, just tell them, I don't want to do anything. Like, just be like, no, I'm gonna do what I want. Just
there you go.
Stick it to them, because just don't listen to people. Like, there's a lot of harassment too. That because I was skinny, people are like, oh, they're making funny remarks. They're like, oh, he's who stole all the kills from Mercury. Oh, he needs to get fed.
Oh my god! Yeah. Wow.
And then and then they do the opposite for people who are a little bigger. They're like, oh, who fed this character? Who gave them?
Wow.
It's like, I understand why you think it's funny, but it's kind of insensitive. It's very insensitive to other people, and
that's messed up.
Yeah. Don't listen to them. They're just fools.
I think laugh it off, I think, is the best way.
Yeah, laugh it off.
Because I'm sure they do that to Bacchus, which is not nice. Like, Bacchus is cool. Everyone loves Bacchus. Come on.
Yeah, that Bacchus has been there every year so far.
Nice. But, so yeah, this has been basically a podcast. I had fun talking. Hope you have fun watching and listening, everybody. This has been The Bradiator with me, LostScarf. Thanks for coming by, everybody, and see you next time.